And media from Memphis. First, we would like to thank the National Civil Rights Museum for convening and hosting our press conference here at the National Civil Rights Museum. As we gather today to speak out against poverty for our national public hearing in Lambert, Mississippi. In 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. organized the Poor People's Campaign to address issues of economic justice, specifically for sanitation workers to receive a $9 per hour minimum wage rather than $1.70. The campaign led to a workers' strike and a march in Washington, D.C., demanding economic aid to the poorest communities in the United States of America. The march originated in Marks, Mississippi. From there, Dr. King crisscrossed the country to assemble a multiracial army of the poor that would descend on Washington, engaging, if need be, in nonviolent civil disobedience at the Capitol until Congress enacted a Poor People's Bill of Rights. Reader's Digest warned of an insurrection. Prior to the completion of the campaign, Dr. King was assassinated on April 4th, 1968, in this very building on the balcony here at the Lorraine Motel, now the National Civil Rights Museum. King's Economic Bill of Rights called for massive government job programs to rebuild America's cities. He saw a need to confront a Congress that had demonstrated the hostility to the poor, appropriating military funds with alacrity and generosity, but providing poverty funds with miserliness. On April 3rd, 1968, King told a crowd here in Memphis at Mason Temple, he said, "It really doesn't matter what happens now." Some began to talk about the threats that were out. What would happen to me from some of our sick white brothers? Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just like to do God's will. And if he allowed me to go up there to the mountain, I would look over. I have looked over and I have seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people, we will get to the promised land. And I am so happy tonight. I am not worried about anything. I am not fearing any man. My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Today, 41 years later, we stand here today at the Lorraine Motel, the National Civil Rights Museum, where Dr. King was murdered, in his same spirit of without fearing of any man. As we stand here today as the Joshua generation, we are here to fulfill the vision of the poor, for the poor, and oppressed throughout the United States of America. Today, we have Antoinette Harrell, who is a poverty whistleblower for poverty throughout the United States of America. She is a genealogist, family historian, television talk show producer, and a host. For the past 10 years, Antoinette Harrell has been studying and researching 20th century slavery in the Mississippi Delta. Memphis, please receive our whistleblower for poverty throughout the United States, Ms. Antoinette Harrell.
Greetings. For the last 10 years of my life, I have been in the deltas of Mississippi, throughout the National Archives, throughout Louisiana, studying 20th century slavery. As we approach Juneteenth and celebrate freedom, we cannot celebrate freedom until all of us are free.
That's right.
In the 20th century, here in America, 16 states and 27 counties in Mississippi, people was held as slaves. Some of them held the titles of sharecroppers and tenant farmers. Today, I stand here to tell you that they are living in conditions worse than a third world country. People are still using outhouses. Children have to go to bed at night hungry. Houses that is not fit for humans to live. Just 2 weeks ago, my colleagues and I, we went to Boston to a dog park. The dog parks had fountains. They had benches and toys. As we drive across the South, children do not even have parks. They're playing basketball on the street. I want to say to America today that we will not stand for this injustice.
That's right.
This is a crime against humanity.
That's right.
We're not speaking about our civil rights here. We're talking about our rights as human beings.
That's right.
If we can fund wars, we can certainly fund those that need houses, medical care, 21st century education. No child in this country, as Dr. King was saying, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
That's right.
And when our children have no future, and we say that children are a brighter future, I disagree with you there. I have walked through many homes and met many faces of sorrow. At night, when I lay down in my home with hot water, a refrigerator with food, I can't tell you the pain that I feel for those that is still suffering here in America, a country where my ancestors slaves went to their grave, and still yet they remain slaves, their descendants. In the deltas of Mississippi, I have seen poverty like never before. I want to thank Gathering of Hearts. We want to thank Union Grove Baptist Church, South Haven Muhammad Study Group, Political Swagger, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference of New Orleans chapter, the Poor People's Campaign Incorporated, the Poor People's Campaign of Trenton, New Jersey, the Poor People's Campaign Economic Human Rights Campaign. We want to thank Dr. Ava Muhammad, the national spokeswoman for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Mayor Reginald Griffin, the town of Lambert, the Honorable Mayor Johnny Thomas of Glendora, Mississippi, Reverend Dr. L. Sampson, Reverend Al Sharpton, the National Action Network, the African American Leadership Institute of Female and Male, the Greater Tangipahoa Whole Parish NAACP. We want to thank Dr. John Perkins, the Women Lunch Place, and Action of Communication and Education Reform for partnering with us to bring poverty to the eyes of this nation like never before. Recently, I had the opportunity to meet some young people in Glendora that spoke out against poverty. And I thought, I've heard the worst, but every story I hear from that point on is worse than the one that I heard before. We're asking the world to join us, the nation to join us on June the 19th in Lambert, Mississippi, for a tour that would take place at 9:00 a.m. to noon of the town of Glendora, Mississippi, Lambert, Mississippi. We will visit the Browns' home, Sledge and Felton, Mississippi, June the 19th at 9:00 a.m. to 12 noon. We will be on the tour from 1:00 p.m. to 5:00 p.m. We will start the public hearing. That hearing is very important. There was many that went down into the Delta. We had Senator Robert F. Kennedy. There was also Senator Paul Wellstone, former candidate John Edwards, and Reverend Jesse Jackson. And also Bill Clinton, former President Bill Clinton. But unlike before, we're calling for justice.
That's right. All right.
We're calling for justice. We are not demanding another tour, but we are demanding justice. Right. That in this country, no child should suffer. No child should be left behind without the right education that they need to compete with the rest of the world. Right. This is a violation of human rights. Oh, yeah. And you will hear it come directly from the children themselves. We will not tolerate this. This is not about the color of our skin. Injustice to any human being is injustice. Be it green, black, white, blue, or brown, Dr. King stood for everyone. And we want to say that we stand here today to fight against the biggest crime against humanity, poverty.